Ardent in spirit. Sizzle with
that,
enthusiasm.
Reverend Martine.
Sizzle. I love
Sizzle
that.
with-
That should be a t-shirt. Sizzle with enthusiasm.
I sizzled.
Ardent with zeal. Ardent. And in that spirit of joy and enthusiasm, the title of my talk, and I've been thinking so much about this. Greater things shall you do, awakening the divine powers within. So I'm going to read a little bit of the scripture. I like to say, and there's no one who's completely new, but if someone is live streaming in the future, as a unity congregation, we are a New Thought church or spiritual community. And the New Thought movement began with Phineas Quimbley in Maine. He was a clockmaker that got this is about 1860s. He got very interested in mesmerism. There was a man, Monsieur Mesmer, in France, who was the father of hypnosis. So Phineas had his own healing. He had had tuberculosis as a teenager, was told he would never be able to exercise, do normal things, and one day he changed his mind. He decided to go out into the countryside, breathe oxygen, get on the horse and ride in his buggy, and he decided to be healthy. He said something within him was like, don't listen to the diagnosis or the prognosis. Decide to be healed. And through that shift in consciousness, he then began to experiment with mesmerism, hypnosis, and actually putting people in hypnosis using the beautiful watches that everyone would wear. After some time, he realized that there was something within the individual that would direct him. It would say, if Susan eats castor oil and lemon and vinegar mixture every other day, her neuropathy will heal. So this voice within the individual spoke about the individual from a third person place. She needs to do that. And those of you who are professors, I may have gotten that wrong. For a second, I forget which person. But she needs to do that. And he recognized that there was something greater within us. And Jesus said to us, greater things ye shall do. Greater things ye shall do. And the whole foundation of the New Thought movement that began in the 1860s in New England, firstly in Maine, is about there is a power within us that will direct our lives like a director directing a stage of actors, will direct us and show us the way to go, what to do, and how to do it. And when Jesus said to his disciples in John chapter 14, verses 10 to 14, these words I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing his work. Believe me when I say that I am in the Father and the Father is in me. Or at least believe on the evidence of the works themselves. Verily, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works that I am doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. And I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that the Father may be glorified in the Son. So what is Jesus saying metaphysically? Because in our denomination, we believe in the metaphysical, spiritual, esoteric interpretation of our biblical texts. Jesus is saying, you do not need to look outside of yourself to find God. The same divine intelligence that works through me lives in you too. I'm not acting on my own. Of myself, I do nothing. I am aligned with infinite spirit. And that's where this power is coming from. It looks as though I'm doing these miracles, but there is a power within me that is bringing forth the demonstration of goodness. When he says, whoever believes in me, he's inviting us, beloveds, not just to believe in the man Jesus, but to believe in the Christ consciousness, the divine pattern he lived by. To believe in me means to believe in the indwelling presence that knows, that heals, that sees, that speaks, and that loves through each and every one of us. When he says, when the greatest guru, Jesus said, greater things shall you do, he was passing the baton. He was saying, you're not just here to admire my life. You are here to live as an embodiment of God, just as I have. You have the same access to the divine frequency of God, the same spiritual faculties. And when I fully return to Source, the Spirit will be in you even more freely through your awakened soul. Even greater works will follow in this world. And to ask in my name means to pray, to speak, and live from the vibration of your divine identity, from the I am presence within. So Jesus didn't just come to perform miracles to impress people, to impress us. He did them to demonstrate what is possible when human beings fully align with God. He didn't say, admire me. He said, follow me. He didn't say, only I can do this. He said, greater things ye shall do. Yet for 2,000 years, many have doubted this promise. That's why I chose to speak about this. I could have doubted my promise. I'm getting emotional. And please forgive me if I bring up this adventure that I've been in. It's all mysterious. I don't know how I'm here. I don't know how I had an influence on what happened, but I did. And Jesus speaks about that. Humanity has settled on worshiping the miracles rather than realizing that we were born to perform them. We've been trained to believe in limitations and not in the limitless nature of our soul. My beloveds, I don't know what you're going through. I can't imagine. With the little bit that I've seen in life, I know that people really go through suffering and heartbreak and hardship. It happens in all areas of life, in some places, and we're all privileged. I'm privileged to be a Haitian American in America and not on the island that's going through so much. We all have our privileges, and sometimes we're privileged in one area and we're totally self-destructing in another. So I understand suffering. But in the midst of my own personal suffering, which was no greater or lesser than anyone, and there were children that God would show me every single day, but there was a little baby going through cancer, and I could not feel sorry for myself when I saw parents with heartbreak in their eyes. I would say to Spirit, if there's a choice between a life, let that little baby, the 3-year-old, have a life I have lived. Take me. Take me. So I was shown every single day that my suffering was not the greatest suffering of the world, because the ego would have us believe this. But in the midst of that hardship or trial, I'll call it a trial, and we will have trials in this life. By coming together with you every Sunday through my studies, I was reminded that I could do a great thing in that experience. And it didn't necessarily mean that I would live, or I would continue to live, that I wouldn't die. But the great thing is that I could have a positive perspective no matter what was happening to me. And that was the quiz. That was the lesson. That was the teaching. That was the test that I was facing. Can I have a port in my chest? Can I lose my hair? Can I go through radiation treatment and stay positive? No matter, not knowing what the outcome will be. We ultimately do not know what the outcome of our lives will be. But Jesus as the great example and not the great exception, and as our way shower and one of the master teachers, one of the greatest on the planet, said that we could do greater. You can do better and greater than what you're doing in your life. If you feel that you are being smashed by a trial, just know you can do greater. We've been trained to believe in limitations and not in the limitless nature of our soul. No matter what limitations are occurring in your life, you do have a limitless nature. We do. Something is changing. Now, in this age of global awakening and spiritual urgency, the words of Jesus are calling us home to the truth of who we are. We are not broken mortals trying to get to heaven. No one is buying it anymore. These children are coming in awakened. If you have any grandchildren, nieces and nephews, as I do, they're speaking truth like every other second. They know they're not broken. We're not broken mortals trying to get to heaven. We are expressions of the infinite, made in the image and likeness of divine nature. Part of it is affirming it. If I sat there and affirmed, I'm dying, this is miserable, I don't have a relationship, I didn't achieve all my dreams, this sucks, that's what I would have created. But I actually was happy. I had a happiness that the world couldn't give me and the world couldn't take away. Because I guess finally these things are, I had to hit myself over the head to get this stuff, but I'm finally getting these principles and these teachings. I have an impact on my experience. And even though I could have died last year, and I've been shown my expiration date is soon, a diagnosis wakes you up to the fact that your expiration date, you become aware of it, because we can walk in unconsciousness. We're just living our lives. And then this thing happens and you go, oh my God, I could die. And so you become aware of how you want to live. Mm-hmm. So you're aware that the expiration date is out here kind of close, maybe. So it makes you value life in ways that you were unconscious to life. So the reminder is we can do greater things no matter what is happening. As Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind, man is an individualization of the universal mind. The mind of God is the mind of man. Myrtle Fillmore realized when she healed herself, the foundress of unity, I'm a child of God, therefore I do not inherit sickness. Louise Hay and Ernest Holmes have said something, that sickness is one of the biggest mountain ranges that man or humanity has chosen not to overcome. If we decided that sickness wasn't real, and I know that sounds so impossible, but if we decided we're spiritual beings and this sickness thing, we don't care so much about it, we would all be healed instantly. There is a deep collective race mind, collective unconscious belief in sickness. Like, people don't believe in God, but most people believe in sickness. It's so funny. People will say, I don't believe in God with all this miracles around. And I get it. I was an atheist for half a second. It wasn't fun enough. It wasn't celebratory enough. It got boring and sad really quick. And I said, I'm going back to believing in God. It was very hysterical. I wanted to be very Parisienne with Jean-Paul Sartre and all the great philosophers. Anyway, the modernists. It didn't last. But people can say they don't believe in God, but everyone believes in sickness. There's not a person that will say to you, it's not real. What the doctor told you about your stage 4 cancer isn't real. Don't believe in it. It doesn't exist. There are very few people who will say that. So if we begin to let go of this idea that we have a body that ages and breaks down, we will stop having illness, we will stop breaking down, and we will just leave the body. We'll say, okay, I've been here for 120 years. I want to go to the other side. Don't, there are no more lessons. And we will just go to bed after a party or dinner and just leave the body. We could actually die that way. We could decide to just leave the body. But we see ourselves as so limited. I digress. However, every thought we think is creating our future. What are the great things that we can do? Well, we have 10 divine faculties or gifts of spirit within each of us. And Jesus hinted at these, and which science is now beginning to validate. 1, remote viewing. The ability to perceive information about a distant or unseen target using extrasensory perception. This is real. There have been times that my friend is in California and I can tell her that she's wearing a red dress. I said, "You have red on today?" And she said, "Oh my God, I have a red skirt on." We can remote view. That's being able to see beyond our 4 walls, across time and space, across the world, and we can actually do this. Russell Targe, a laser physicist, spent 25 years at the Stanford Research Institute working with the US government on remote viewing. I love watching this TED Talk. The CIA and the US Army poured $25 million into a 25-year program. People with no formal training successfully described military targets, secret codes, and even distant landscapes, all by using consciousness alone. They would put them in a sealed room, concrete sealed room, with nothing, and they would say to someone, "Describe where Jean is right now." And Jean could be on the edge of Siberia in Russia, standing next to an old fortress or an old tank. And this person would describe it. So they were able to teach the army and a small group of army people how to remote view. It's basically seeing silently across time. Jesus knew, the spiritual insight is Jesus knew that Lazarus had died without being present. This is not supernatural, it's super conscious. When we attune to divine mind, there is no distance, there is no separation. The all-seeing eye of spirit becomes our sight. Clairvoyance, clear seeing. These are the spiritual gifts that we have that allow us to do greater. Number 2, you see beyond appearances. You see the truth. You visualize and bring into form what you see in the mind of God. Jesus said the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. He was describing spiritual vision. About 2 months ago, I was driving to Chestnut Hill. I was picking up a cake for a little gathering I was having with friends. I was having a beautiful day. Suddenly, I had a very negative feelings came over me. I began to pray. In the moment of praying, I saw 2 cars colliding into each other. And I said out loud, "Oh my God, am I going to get into an accident? Maybe someone else is going to get into an accident." I drove into the rotary. 2 cars right in front of me collided, and I went right by them. But they collided. I prayed. So I saw the accident, and I prayed out loud some more. One car hit the passenger side lightly. So they were at a T shape, and they both got out, and one car was smoking, but no one died. And I was able, everything stopped, and I drove past them going, was I going to get hit? What did I see? So that was a clairvoyant experience. I prayed because I was reading in Dr. Joseph Murphy's book on how to have a beautiful life about a year ago, that there was a woman who woke up, she had a dream that a plane crashed in a field next to her, and all the passengers and pilot died. But because she was a truth student, she took a friend to the field, and they prayed in the field for this airplane. About 6 months later, there was a crash in the field, and no one died. So that reading that, I remembered in the car, oh gosh, what Dr. Joseph Murphy said, you can pray if you have a dream that something is going to happen in the planet, in your life, a feeling, you can pray beforehand and your prayer will change the outcome of that experience. That is clairvoyance. You see beyond the appearances, you see the truth, you know it before it happens. Clairaudience, hearing the voice within. You hear divine instruction, guidance, and the still small voice. This is not imagination, it's an intuitive alignment with infinite intelligence. Many inventors, poets, and prophets report hearing the answer in the silence. Einstein had dreams. He had clairvoyance around the theory of relativity and the formula. He slept one night and he was shown the universe and how it worked, and he understood the formula. We will be shown, we will hear. If you're a vocalist, anyone who speaks, anyone who's acting, and you will hear. If you're someone who likes music, you will hear guidance. I heard why I was given this health opportunity and what to do about it. Clairsentience, energetic empathy. You feel the emotional and energetic truth about a person, place, or thing. Jesus felt virtue flow out of him when the woman touched his garment. Your body becomes a tuning fork for spirit. You will feel that you shouldn't go there. You will feel that that person is not someone to be trusted. You will feel that you've known this person all your life. You will feel it's the right job for you. You will have clairsentience. That is a spiritual gift. Claircognizance, divine knowing. You just know what you know. Jesus perceived the thoughts of others before they spoke. You too are wired with this gift. Science calls this intuitive intelligence or non-local consciousness. You just know. You know you shouldn't go on the trip. You don't know why. You just know you shouldn't get on the plane. How many stories? How many stories and accounts do we have? I had a feeling I shouldn't do this. I had a feeling someone was watching me. A young woman on Oprah Winfrey's show years ago who said she would come home to her apartment and felt like she was being watched while her landlord had invisible little cameras everywhere. One day she came home, she knew to go to her closet. She threw all her clothes on the ground and realized that there were all of these little holes and there were cameras. She put her eye up to these little holes. She was being watched and she knew. Divine knowing. This is also a gift that will allow you to do greater things. Healing by thought and word. Myrtle Fillmore healed herself of tuberculosis by speaking to her body lovingly, affirming the truth of her divinity. I spoke words of truth and power. I told my lungs they were free, and they became free. This is the essence of what Jesus meant. You will do as I have done. You will do as I have done. You will transcend time and matter. Jesus walked on water, disappeared from crowds, appeared post-resurrection. Is this a myth or is it mastery? Time, a quantum science now confirms, is not fixed. When you dwell in the eternal now, as Eckhart Tolle told us, and the Buddhist practice, you transcend limits and you become a co-creator with God. To navigate this world, my beloveds, we must live from the inside out. You must know who you are and what you're capable of. The greater works are not just miracles. They're about awakening your full soul capacity to bless, guide, and uplift the planet. Activate your spiritual gifts with intentional practice. Pick one of the greater works. Focus on seeing and knowing. If you get a feeling to call someone or see someone do it, that is following your spiritual gifts. Practice these muscles. You will be able to do greater works. So, my beloveds, I have some affirmations for us, and then I will close. And please join me in saying them out loud. I am an ageless, timeless child of the infinite. I am an ageless, timeless child of the infinite. I activate my spiritual gifts today.
I activate my spiritual gifts today.
I do the works that Jesus did and greater. I do the works that Jesus did and greater. I align with divine mind and co-create my life. I align with divine mind and co-create my life. The same presence that moved through Christ moves through me. The same presence that moves through Christ moves through me. Let's bow our head in prayer. Infinite Spirit, awaken within us the remembrance of who we truly are. Let the veil of illusion fall away, and let the truth of our divine nature shine forth. May we walk in our gifts, not with arrogance, but in service. May we awaken the sleeping I am presence, the God presence within, and bless the world with the greater things we are called to do. Greater things we shall do. We are ready, and so it is.